Pete Alonso comes back in New York, 20-some odd homers away from your record, 252, I think.
252. It's been there for 35 years.
And you're on record as saying, God bless him, take my record.
Yes, of course. It doesn't belong to me. I mean, it's just a record, you know. I mean, Pete is a homegrown player. He's one of us. And you like Seaver or, you know, all of us that have come through this organization and have raised it to the top. He has done that just like the rest of us. And he deserves that credit to be given to him and say, go ahead, enjoy it. Do what you do.
Jay Horwitz with another edition of Amazing Conversations with my buddy of over 40 years, Darryl Strawberry. That's crazy, isn't it?
Amazing conversation with Jay Horwitz.
No, with Darryl Strawberry.
40 years.
40 years. June of 1980.
Come on, Jay, you remember. You got a good memory.
I have not. Yeah, I still have most of my memory. You told me something the other day, and I said it in the right way. Baseball is no longer the number one thing in your life. True? Your ministry.
True, baseball. Baseball was great when I played and what I had the experience in it, but it's not the number one thing in my life today. The number one thing is ministry, loving people, helping people, and encouraging people.
This week, you were in a prison in Louisiana on death row. Tell me, what was that like?
It's good for me because I've been there several times at the prison in Louisiana, Angola.
I even interviewed you in a prison.
Yes, you interviewed me in prison, so
did.
I've experienced it firsthand. I think that's why I go back, and that's why I go back to really just love on those inmates, the people that have been left aside and not thought about it. And, you know, I just think through my faith and who I am, and the Lord really want me to be the person to go encourage people.
What do you talk to? I mean, I'm trying to imagine. What do you talk to people on death row about?
Just eternal life, about life after this. You know,
do they know who you are? I mean,
they love it when I come there.
They know who you are, Darryl Strawberry player.
They know I'm the player. They know I'm the one that had downfalls just like they did, and you know, ended up in prison myself. I always tell them I don't shy away from that. But I said I always try to encourage them to the fact that there's a life after this life, and sometimes we only just see this life. And I get a real glimpse of what life is after because of my ministry and who I am, you know, and being born again and being a minister of the gospel. I get a chance to pour a new life into them that they can receive.
And some of these people already have death. They're going to die. They know they're when they die, right? They're death row. They've given dates already.
Death row's there. Yeah, you're not getting away from that. Once you get on death row at any prison, your day will come, or they will, you know, execute you eventually, and they will give you a date. And they just had one in March, and they're giving some of the other inmates in Louisiana dates. So you just want to try to prepare the heart of a man and let him know that you know, God loves you no matter what you've done, and we've all fallen short, but there's a next step, you know, and after living.
So this is all leading to next year in 2026. Another. How many books is this for you, Straw? 3?
I can't even count no more now. Yeah.
You would Ernest Hemingway, right?
Little did I know I would be writing books about, you know, a different life. You know, but this was about another life.
Another life.
Another life.
Now you have another life. I mean, tell me about it. It comes out 40th anniversary, 1986 team. What's the genesis of the book and what can people look forward to?
That's amazing. It's coming out on the 40th year. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that to me. And,
you didn't plan it out like that?
I didn't plan it out like that. And it's coming out in 26. And, you know, it's called Another Life that I get to live, that I get to do. It's my writer, whose name is Jerome. He travels with me.
Good guy.
Yes.
Good guy.
I'm allowing him to travel with me to see actually what I do instead of really talking about it, so he can write it the way he see it. So he's been to spring training. He saw my day-to-day in spring training. Now he's been to the prison with me. And he's going to take a couple more trips.
We had we had a birthday celebration, 12, 15 people there, all walks of life, you know, PR guys, equipment guys. Jerome was there. See what the real Darryl Strawberry was like. It was a real great night. It was a great night.
Well, it's been great people, Jay. I've been surrounded by great people my whole life, you know, and I'm really thankful for that. I think about, you know, the time of playing here in the big leagues and the people that I was surrounded with and all the different coaches that helped me, from Bill Robinson, Davey Johnson, Jim Fry, Bobby Valentine, Bud Harrelson. Just on and on when you have that in your life, and I've had you in my life from the beginning, and with all these different people, it's kind of made me who I am today. Made me believe that you don't give up in life, you don't quit. You go through some things, and you have some struggles, but you can overcome those struggles, and that's for anybody. Even like it's like playing on the field. When the players struggle, you can overcome those struggles. And it's the same thing in life. When you have some struggles in life, you can overcome those struggles. I've overcome the struggles of slumping, those 2 for 30,
Right.
and I've overcome the struggles of life, and have reinvented myself to the man that I am today to help the multitude of people.
So in the book, Another Life, not much baseball. We touch on it a little bit, right? But mostly what you're doing now and traveling around.
Well, I'm going to touch on the baseball life because it was a big part of it.
Right.
I'm going to touch on the part of, what it was like in Lynchburg. How did I overcome that? How did I deal with that? How did I get through that process? But it's going to be, focused on, the work that I do, the people that I help, the charity events that I go to, the kids that I help. I try to help kids, stay in reality of not trying to listen to what everyone has to say on social media about them, and help kids with, drug addiction. I mean, I do all kind of things to try to help kids to guide them the right way, and say, don't make the mistakes I made in life. Don't make the choices I made in life, because it may cost you your life. And most kids are getting so locked into all these things and the different things that are happening with addiction. It's costing them their life. I didn't lose my life, and they're losing their life. So I try to help them avoid that.
Is it fair to say Tracy, your wife now, is your MVP?
Why you even say that, Jay? You already know she's the MVP.
Well, I know she's the MVP.
She is the MVP of our
How are you
household.
feeling? We're a year plus after your heart attack. I had a heart condition too. Knock on wood, we're both here.
I know.
Yeah.
There's something about that. Something about
Have
this.
you cut down your hamburgers at all?
You may have cut down. I love the French fries and hamburgers. A couple pieces the other day, but yeah, I'm glad we're sitting here and we have this opportunity. We're in great shape now. We kind of went through some health scares. We're getting up there. I'm 63.
I'm going to be 80 in August.
80
in August. It's kind of a scary figure.
Yeah. 80. Look at that. That's amazing, Jay.
I started here when I was 12. You went to spring training with the Mets. You and Carlos Mendoza, manager, hit it off. Why do you think he's so well suited for New York?
Well, I think because he understands baseball, and he understands people.
Right.
His relationship with people is real. It's not a quote unquote phony. It's not a pretender. He has a great personality and great understanding, and he knows how to really get the best out of these guys. He's guiding these guys the right way.
He's great with the media too.
Yeah, he's great with the media. He doesn't put the pressure on the players, but at some point he probably puts the fire to him and say, "Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
We got to go."
You and I both paid visits here to Davy Johnson. I saw him over in Sarasota. Still has all the facilities. We talk reminisce about the team, thin, but it was good seeing Davy again. Brought back. Do you believe what we did 40 years ago? Do you remember the picture? I don't remember. It was 2 outs in the 9th inning. The camera in Game 6 of the World Series. They had the cameras on Mel Stottlemyre and Davy, and we're sitting there like this, and then that's 40 years ago. It's crazy, isn't it?
40 years, but you think about the team and the players. A lot of times people don't give those guys credit. Gary Carter, Mitchell, Ray Knight. Those opportunities had to happen. Mookie, you had to be on that team to know that these guys just didn't lay down.
Yeah.
Could have easily laid down with 2 outs and said it's over, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's that year. When you look back on that year of that team, when fans look back that don't know about that team, you should see how many games we used to come back and win.
Yeah.
And it was just our DNA. It was in us.
I remember one particular game we're playing the Phillies, and Tuffle and start the game. He came off the bench and the pitcher grand slam homer. Yeah,
that's the kind of team we had all year. So I don't know. Sometimes people
and they talk about Game 6 of the World Series, but Houston, Game 6 of that series, 3-0, loses to Nepper in the 9th inning. Have to face Mike Scott and Scuff Balls.
Exactly.
Game 7.
We come back and win that game.
Come back and win that game, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It was the guts of that team, you know. I mean, David led Lenny off in the 9th inning. But Lenny hits a triple.
Oh, for lefty.
You know, it's just the kind of group of guys that we had. Yes, we had personality. You know that. We were
one of my favorite games. It was about you hitting the player, not a baseball. We're in Cincinnati. Eric Davis, a good friend, slides into third base.
And
Ray Knight. Ray gets up and clocks him.
Yes.
And we had like 19 guys ejected from that game.
I was already thrown out of the game.
But I mean, that was about the team was about. You know, remember Mike Tyson coming to see us in spring? I mean, you know,
he came and saw us here at Shea, remember?
Yeah.
And he wanted to meet me and Doc. He had heard about us
all the fights
before he was the heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And that was his year coming to see us and realizing that, you know, this team was very special. It was a group of guys that cared about each other. You know, not saying that we were all honey-do all the time, you know, but we wasn't. But, you know, when you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
What do you think, you know, July 19th, David Wright gets his number retired?
I think it's the most amazing thing for David Wright. Yeah. David Wright is one of the franchise players that come, homegrown player, like myself, Doc, like Pete, that come through the organization, and you do it at this level. That means the organization develops some really fantastic players to be able to do what he has done and what we have done for this organization, and you're just happy for him. You know that he's finally getting his day because he deserves it.
So Pete Alonso comes back in New York, 20-some odd homers away from your record, 252, I think.
252. It's been there for 35 years.
And you're on record as saying, God bless him, take my record.
Yes, of course. It doesn't belong to me. I mean, it's just a record, you know. I mean, Pete is a homegrown player. He's one of us. And you like Seaver or, you know, all of us that have come through this organization and have raised it to the top. He has done that just like the rest of us. And he deserves that credit to be given to him and say, go ahead, enjoy it, do what you do, and go and get you some more money now. You know, have a great year and go free agent and make them pay you.
You try never to tell him what to say. We kind of gave him your advice, like don't do what I did and left. He kind of obliquely said, it would be better if you come back.
Well, right? I just thought, you know, you got a new ownership, it's different.
Right.
You're playing for wonderful owners. Enjoy it. You play for them, they're going to take care of you. And that would probably be the best thing that I could say for him.
And it's nothing like winning in New York, right there.
There's nothing like winning, and that's the next step for these guys. Lindor, Soto, Pete, all these guys. The next step for them is to win here, so they can experience it, and then they will know what it's like, and then they will be able to embrace what this city is. Really
I don't know how
about.
Closely you've been watching the games, but you know Soto hasn't gotten off to a great start. You know, and the world is coming to an end. You know what it's like to slump a little bit in New York.
Been there and done that.
Been there and done that.
I've done it many times. So
many times.
But I would finish. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. You know, and like a lot of people would, you know, criticize what say he's struggling right now. Well, yeah, we got a whole season.
Yeah,
Soto's going to be. He's going to be where he need to be. You know, he's got 15 years. You got just a long-term marriage. It's not a short-term. You don't want to get divorced in 1 year. You know? So give the guy a break and let him get accustomed to this here. And once he get accustomed to all that, and it'll take care of itself. I mean, I think he's a ball player. I think the only pressure that he's looking at now is everybody's looking at is because of the term of his contract and how much he got. So everywhere he's go, it's going to always be a parade running around saying, you suck, you're not that, you're not this. And, you know, they said that to me many times. But the scoreboard looked pretty good when I was hitting them off the top of the scoreboard at other ballparks.
I remember you got into the fans. I remember when Boston, the series, Darryl, you there waving your arms.
I tipped my hat to him.
Yeah.
I hope somebody said, well, how did you feel? I said, well, at least they know I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to have fun in this game. And you got to really, don't take everything personal. And I think sometimes if you take it personal, it's going to eat you up. And I just never took that way.
So next year is 40 years from '86. Why do you think that team, you know, is so revered? so many different personalities, a people's team, fighting, coming back from the dead, in game 6 of the World Series, 2 outs, 2 strikes, down by 2 runs, come back and win. Why do you think the team is so endeared to New York?
Because they knew we didn't care.
Yeah.
They knew we had guts. They knew we had swagger. They knew that we had everything that it took to get the job done, no matter what it looked like. It was a team that didn't care if we were down. We always knew we can come back and win a ball game. And there's not many teams you could be on like that. Right. And I was on some other teams here that didn't have that same feeling. But that 86 team had that feeling every time we stepped on the field that we're going to punch you in the mouth. Yeah. And if you got in our way, we're going to then run you over. And that's why we were so good. And it was because of the characters, the personalities that we had on the team. And
so this year, you were officially one of our ambassadors of the title. I mean, Steve and Alex have made you feel welcome. What does it feel like to be like you're part of the inside part of things now? I mean,
it feels great. They're wonderful people. They care about the Mets franchise. They care about the players of the history. And I think you use them while you have a chance, because we're not going to be here forever. This is, time is moving for all of us. And while you have these guys around that you think are important to the organization, they use that to their advantage to bring them around. So I'm grateful that I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. All the best to Tracy. Good luck with your book. Hope it's a New York Times bestseller.
I hope so too, Jay. Yeah, it will be a great book. It's going to be a different one, but it's going to be a great one.
Always good to be with you.
You too, Jay. Always the best. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.